Materials definitely matter when it comes to making baseball bats, particularly the wood, because the American Major League only allows players to use wooden bats. But every bit as important as the wood is the weight of the bat in relationship to the player. The ratio has to be just right to transform raw wood into a high-power hitting machine. The wood used to make bats arrives at the factory in raw columns called billets that are always cut along or with the grain. The wood typically comes from ash trees because it's stronger, lighter, and more flexible than other woods. A worker weighs each billet and marks it with its precise weight in ounces. Billets usually start out weighing between 73 to 100 ounces. That's about 2 to 2.8 kilos. The bat-making process whittles that down to between 850 and 930 grams, about a third of the original weight. Each bat is made from a prototype, hundreds of which have been created and collected over the years as different players order custom bats that are designed for speed, power, or a bit of both. This prototype is for a quick swinging bat. To make a copy, the prototype locks into the lower brace of a massive computer-controlled lathe. And the billet goes on top. Then the lathe works like a duplicate key cutter. As the billet spins, two knives carve it to size. The knives are guided by two copy feet that trace the exact contours of the prototype. The length of the bat is largely determined by the player's reach over the plate. At full swing, the bat should be long enough to span the entire strike zone. So this shaping is all about shaving the bat down to the proper weight for the player, which in this case is 901 grams. Generally speaking, a thinner bat like this is easier to swing than a thicker bat of the same length. So a thinner bat helps the player swing the bat faster, which can put more oomph behind the hit. But a heavier bat has a thicker hitting surface and can generate more power. So the proper weight and thickness really comes down to the strength and skill level of the player. But regardless of the prototype, it takes just 30 seconds for the lathe to shave a bat down to size. A worker checks the weight to be sure there's enough wood left on the bat for final sanding. Then a sanding machine refines the rough contours of the bat with fine sandpaper. The sander works fast enough to sand 200 bats every day. A worker measures the handle and the width of the barrel to make sure they match the prototype. The bat is weighed one last time to see how much weight was lost. It's 895 grams, which is actually 57 grams less than the weight of the finished bat. The missing weight is made up by the lacquer finish, which protects the wood. The finish can be a clear lacquer or a custom team color. Either way, the lacquer seals in the moisture of the wood and adds overall strength to the bat. The bats hang on an overhead rack to dry for several hours. Finally, a silkscreen machine stamps a logo onto the wood, and the precise placement of that logo is one of the most important things about the bat. That's because a worker carefully positions the logo so it goes on the weakest part of the bat, where the wood grain overlaps and forms a V. A quarter turn away, the grain is straight, That's the sweet spot, where the bat is the strongest. And if you make contact here, you're almost sure to have a hit.